Are you rich? It depends. See, y'all been paying attention. It depends. It depends. You make $1 million, are you rich? It depends. What does it depend on? How long did it take you to make it? If you make $25,000 a year, and there are people who make $25,000 a year, and you work for 40 years, you've made $1 million over that 40-year time period. This is 40 years. So let me ask y'all a question. Are you rich? No. Okay. So you've worked 40 years, you've made $1 million, but you're not rich. But let's say you make that same $1 million. You make this same amount of money in 1 year. Now are you rich? Yes. You're 40 times richer than this person, even though you both made the same amount of money. Oh, did you get that? You're 40 times rich. What if you make $1 million a month? Now you're 480 times richer than this dude. Do you want to be this guy? Or do you want to be this guy or girl? Like, who do you want to be? Like, and see, so I am telling you, as a person who has been blessed to create a level of wealth, I'm not Bill Gates rich by any stretch of the imagination, but we're doing all right. I am telling you that creating wealth has a need for speed. Now, here's why that's been a problem for you. Because you've been warned. You've been warned your whole life about what? Get rich quick schemes. Beware of the get rich quick schemes, right? You gotta beware of that, right? Okay, now, the word scheme means plan, so beware of plans that could get you rich quick. Okay, so, because a scheme is a schematic, which means a plan, so beware of the get rich quick scheme. So beware of the plan to get rich quick. I get it. Everybody who has a business opportunity is going to get you rich quick. I get it. It's not like the Bible gives some warnings about being in too big a hurry to make money. I get that. I don't have time to teach what those mean today. I will at some point, but not today. Okay. But here's part of your problem. You've been warned your whole life about get rich quick schemes, but nobody warned you about the stay broke for the rest of your life scheme. So you opted into the one you haven't been warned about. Am I telling the truth? And so what we have to do is we have to figure out, okay, is this how I desire to live my life? Do I desire to live my life in such a way that I'm going to live on the struggle bus my whole life when it's totally unnecessary, because there are people in the world. Hey, watch this now. There are people in the world whose problems you can solve right now. You don't have to wait. You don't have to go back to school to be able to solve their problems. You don't have to go take a class. You don't have to get a certification. You just know how to solve their problem. Why? Because you went through the problem and you solved it, and now you can solve theirs. But I don't know. I don't want to make too much money too fast. Got to slow this thing down. It's going too fast. How many of y'all tracking? And by the way, I know for a fact that when you get to the place and you start making some relatively decent money, you know, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month, you start feeling. I'm going to tell you what happened to me. Maybe it won't happen to you, but you start having a little bit of guilt because now you have choices. And you have choices that the other people around you in your life don't have. And you can decide what time you want to get up instead of having somebody else decide that for you. And you can decide where to take a vacation and where you want to go and how long you want to stay instead of having somebody decide that for you. And you can decide what neighborhood you live in and what car you drive. And now all of a sudden you have all these choices, but everybody around you is still like, you're like, you want to go to the golf course, so you call somebody, hey, you want to go play golf? No, man, I got to go to work, man. What are you talking about? It's the middle of the week. What are you doing? No. And you're like, oh yeah, I forgot. Right? And so creating a level of wealth eliminates certain constraints that you have on you right now, but the people that you love, a lot of those people that you love and like are still going to have some of those constraints, and it's going to make you feel like, well, I'm not really better than them, and you're not. And so what happens is maybe you'll do like I did in the beginning. You'll just start giving money away randomly just because you're like, well, I didn't really work that hard to make this, and it came in really, really fast, and so maybe I'll just give it away. I'm keeping it real because this was me, right? Okay, so when you understand that wealth has a need for speed, The reason I think those two breakthroughs, number one, wealth is a high energy result, is so that you become a source of high energy. You become a source of high energy at home. You become a source of high energy at work. You become a source of high energy around your friends. You become a source of high energy around your family. You become a source of high energy around low energy people, even though it makes them feel uncomfortable and they're going to attempt to make you feel guilty for being a source of high energy. Like when somebody asks you how you're doing and you say, man, I'm doing so good. If I'm doing any better, I have to be 10 or 12 people just so I can stand it. They're going to look at you like, what's wrong with you? Right? How you doing? Utterly fantastic. Better now that I'm talking to you. People will look at you like you're strange. They'll laugh at you. But if you say something ridiculously depressing, everybody will act like it's normal. Test it. Test it. Right? So, all of that to say this. How can we use this power that God has given us to get wealth to go out and get the wealth? Well, before I tell you that, let me show you some stories in the Bible of some people who, when they got rich, it didn't take forever. So, it didn't, 2014, 10 years ago, I was broke. Hey, 10 years ago, I was broker than broke. 10 years ago, everybody say 10 years. 10 years ago, I was sitting on my patio in my rented house because I couldn't buy one because my credit was too bad. And the only reason I was able to rent a house is because I put down first and last month's rent and a security deposit. That's how bad my credit was. My credit was like a 5-something 10 years ago. And I think it was like 530 something. It was really bad. I had just gone through like a short sale and a repo. It wasn't really a repo, it was more of a mepo. And my car got me possessed. You say, what's me possessed? So repossessed is when they come get it from you. Me possessed is when you just take it back to them. Where y'all want me to bring this car, right? Okay. So if I say mindset plus skill set plus tool set, if I add these together, it equals assets. Well, guess what? Do you know what this is? Do you get it? Do you see it? Do you all see it? Oh, and we can put assets down here too. We might as well put assets down here. Okay, you ready? B, do. What? And see, our problem is we're so obsessed with this. We're obsessed with having. You know why? Because we don't understand that being speaks to our identity. And regardless of anything else, like you are seeking to discover and develop and deploy your identity into the marketplace, into the world, so that it has an impact. Okay. Doing speaks to my activity. And then having speaks to my property. And so we want to have the property. But we want to skip the identity and activity part. You can't skip it. You can't, you can skip it, but you're going to find yourself frustrated. How many of y'all tracking? And so when I was thinking about, okay, why do people, even like people that you know, people that you love, people that you care about, people that who are even familiarly like a family member, friends, why do people who you see have so much potential, the difference between who we are and who we could be, the difference between what we're doing and what we could do, the difference between what we have and what we could have. Why do so many people that you love and you're close to have so much unrealized potential? Mindset. They don't know who they are. So what happens is, as the moon in our experience of life, based on the analogy I just gave you, instead of reflecting the light that is the source, we attempt to reflect what we perceive other people perceive as light. So we get our identity from the people around us, instead of bringing our identity to the people around us so their lives can change. Is what I'm saying making any sense? I don't mean to be off in the weeds of the ethereal, but mindset has to change. Our desire is for what we have to change. I want to have a nicer house and a nicer car and a bigger bank account, blah, 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 blah. And then when you get those things, you realize they're just those things. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those things. I like a nice car better than a hoopty. It's better. Like, I've had cars that break down on the side of the road in the middle of the wintertime, and you wonder if you're gonna live. Not an exaggeration. I've had those cars. I've lived in roach-infested houses. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to buy all of my clothes for years from Amway, from what's it called? Goodwill, AmVets, and the Salvation Army.